to each other, and the alleged killer has a prior record of public intoxication and reckless conduct. Nestor Lecanto reports.
The arrest comes less than 48 hours after the victim's body was discovered. She and the suspect may have last been seen together at this gas station on Route 8, just across from Ramirez Street. KUAM confirmed with the manager of the station that police made copies of their video footage of a man who was there Saturday morning.
Through the course of the day, detectives were able to obtain surveillance footage from various business establishments depicting the victim with a male person of interest. Through the course of the investigation, detectives were able to identify the victim through a family member who had positively identified the victim as 37-year-old Luciana Polly, female of Micronesian descent.
The suspect was identified as 25-year-old Cotner Harry, and through further investigation, detectives were able to locate and arrest him at his home. It's here past these boulders at the end of Ramirez Street in Toto is where police say the victim's body was found by children who were playing in the area. The victim was undressed, but police would not confirm if she'd been sexually assaulted. Chief Ignacio says Harry admitted to being with the victim at the Toto location and that they were, quote, involved in a physical altercation that led to her death. He would not comment specifically on how she was killed. An autopsy is pending. Harry has been charged with murder, family violence, aggravated assault, and reckless conduct. He was booked and confined. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Now, Harry did appear late this afternoon for his magistrate's hearing, with cash bail now having been set at $100,000. Harry is scheduled to return to court on February 6th. Elsewhere, Mark Torrey Jr.'s case is at a standstill, as according to Judiciary of Guam Administrative Service Assistant Jaylene San Nicolas, both Judge Elise Iriarte and Judge Anita Sacola have been disqualified from the matter. Now, the conviction is before Judge Arthur Barcenas' courtroom, as it was just last week when Judge Michael Berdalio announced in open court during Torrey's jury selection hearing that he would be resigning. Torrey, of course, as you know, faces charges of negligent homicide and aggravated assault in the second try of this case for the 2015 fatal shooting of fellow officer Albert Piolo. A continued hearing date has yet to be set. In other news, the United States Navy is reportedly investigating who secretly recorded videos of service members through a peephole in a bathroom. According to NBC News, the videos were then shared on Pornhub. Some of the videos were allegedly recorded on the USS Emery Land, which is home-ported locally. The NCIS has requested the videos of service members and civilians be taken down. NBC News says they have also begun notifying people identified in the footage. In healthcare news tonight, there is no coronavirus case up in Saipan. Homeland Security says a letter released by a company circulating on social media has proven to be false. That company, Alpha Insurers, apologized, saying it was an internal memo informing staff of preventative measures that was not meant for public release. Meanwhile, even though public health still considers the risk to Guam to be low, it has scheduled an information briefing Wednesday for key agencies such as the airport, which is on the front lines of any effort to contain a disease outbreak. Airport Executive Manager Tom Addis says there are contingencies within their airport security plan to handle the matter.
What we've put together had to be reviewed by the FAA and signed off as part of our certification requirements. So this has been vetted up to FAA, and so now it's just making sure that, in fact, in our meeting this morning, I had asked our supervisors to walk it through.
The former longtime senator says they also have protocol for isolating an arriving plane with passengers who are suspected of having a contagious disease.
It's really incumbent on that crew to inform us at this end of what they have on board, so that then we can start getting the necessary resources together, which is done today. If there's a passenger who's suffering a heart attack or something, they would let us know, and by the time they land, we would have had the ambulance here.
Now, also to this story, Addis says they also have protocols for isolating an arriving plane with passengers, as I said, if they are suspected to have the coronavirus. In other island news headlines tonight, a plan to open a homeless shelter in the capital of Hagåtña has been scrapped by the administration to make way for more officers for the government of Guam. Chris Barnett explains in this next report.
Plans for a government homeless shelter at the old legislature building on Hessler Street were killed after Governor Lou Leon Guerrero wrote to the Department of Interior asking to, quote, remove the homeless component of the project to utilize the property for essential government functions. The building, but not the land it sits on, was recently bought by GovGuam using $2.5 million in DOI funds. Plans for a homeless shelter in Agatna were initiated during former Governor Eddie Calvo's administration, but Governor Leon Guerrero wrote to DOI asking to remove the shelter plans because they didn't align with her plans to, quote, revitalize our capital of Agatna. I am firmly committed to once again seeing Agatna as our island's center for culture, arts, and government. Bureau of Budget and Management Research Director Lester Carlson tells KUAM the governor has taken the lead on this project.
She just really thinks that it's a wonderful idea to co-locate all these agencies, and she's basically now this is really truly her project. Initially, there was an idea that after working hours, the session hall area would be utilized for secure sleeping, for homeless people. That idea, we rethought that idea. The governor's putting together a more comprehensive homeless plan to address island-wide needs as opposed to just in Agatna.
According to Carlson, the Guam Ethics Commission, the Agatna Revitalization and Redevelopment Authority, and Veterans Affairs will now join other GovGuam agencies, including the Department of Integrated Services for Individuals with Disabilities, the Guam Developmental Disabilities Council, and the Department of Labor's American Jobs Center, taking up spaces at the newly bought old legislature building. Carlson tells KUAM a homeless shelter just wasn't feasible for this administration.
It had logistical issues associated with it. You would have ongoing governmental functions from 8 to 5, and then everybody would clear out. Then you'd have to have the session hall set up. A lot of rules, no alcohol, no smoking, no spitting. It seemed like it was logistically, it was probably a little bit more than we could possibly chew. Bulk of the homeless people, are actually up in the north. So we were unable to secure that grant, but we're still looking at trying to be able to come up with the plan, and then of course the funding to be able to meaningfully address homelessness on Guam.
But Angelina Lepay, head of the Guam Homeless Coalition, disagrees with Carlson's statements and said the coalition was totally on board when they were approached by the last administration with plans for a drop-in shelter in Agatna.
Any sort of shelter, no matter how big or small it is, if we can give these people a place to stay for the night, that would be really helpful for them.
Instead, while DOI already approved money for a shelter, that money was reprogrammed, and now the governor is asking Interior for $1.5 million more to build a homeless shelter in the north. That request hasn't been approved yet. Meanwhile, Lepay says Agatna's homeless are in dire need of help right now.
If you're looking at Agatna and speaking specifically of Agatna, all the people that we identify in Agatna are street homeless. They're not living in substandard housing. These are people that we find at the beaches, at the parks, under the bridge, So definitely that's showing that there's a need, that Agatna has been on the top.
Lepay says there are more homeless in the north, but those homeless, for the most part, live in substandard housing, while Dedido and Agatna have high numbers of street homeless, people who actually live on the streets. And while Carlson said the governor is coming up with a comprehensive homeless plan, Lepay said there's no need to wait.
We have the data over the years that we've been doing this point in time count, and you can look at it and see the trends.
While there is a long-term homeless shelter in Guma, San Jose in the north, Lepay says asking Agatna homeless to go all the way up north with little to no resources is a lot to ask, especially since space at that shelter is hard to come by.
They also have a certain number of beds available for 24-hour drop-ins. Those are always full.
While reprogramming the use of the old legislature building won't benefit the capital's homeless population, Carlson maintains GovGuam got a sweet deal.
It's a wonderful deal. I mean, it's $2.5 million from federal money, 1.5 for the acquisition of the building, which includes $350,000 worth of owner-supplied improvements.
For Guam's News Network, Chris Barnett reports.
And let's stay with headlines from the Public Policy Beat as an oversight hearing on the horrendous conditions and subsequent closure of the Agana pool is being requested by Speaker Tina Muñoz-Barnes. In a letter addressed to Senator Kelly Marsh-Taitano, the Speaker noted that her office was in receipt of a letter from one Jennifer Camacho, a concerned parent whose 2 sons got sick as a result of swimming in the facility. Camacho goes on to say, quote, "What I see is a lack of passion and concern for our facilities." Along with urging lawmakers to reevaluate the contract the Agana pool has with Kenton Construction, she hopes that a public hearing can be held so members in the community who utilize the pool can give input and have their voices heard. Roughly 2 weeks prior, the Agana pool was closed after an email from another parent suspected her child's rash and ear infection was a result from swimming in the pool. The Guam EPA was called in to conduct tests, which did confirm 3 times the level of chlorine and traces of coliform bacteria. We did reach out to Senator Marsh-Taitano for comment, and she issued the following statement. "Our office just received the Speaker's letter after lunch today," she writes. "We will be informing her office that an oversight hearing has already been planned and coordination with stakeholders are already taking place." And also in more positive news, the Department of Administration is mailing about $1.2 million in tax refunds this week. That goes to the tune of about 176 refund checks going for error-free returns filed on or before, this is the part you're always concerned with, August 3rd, 2019. Once again, $1.2 million in tax refunds going out in the mail this week to the tune of August 3rd, 2019, if your tax returns were filed on or before that date. Please stay tuned. We are back after this.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now. Green Energy Solutions, Inc. would like to congratulate GU Self-Storage along with Calvo Enterprises in doing their part by going green with a monthly power reduction by over 80%. Power consumption before installation was 39,700 kilowatt hours. After installation ended in 6,221 kilowatt hours, which resulted in savings over $10,000 a month. GESI also offers LED lights, solar thermal VRF air conditioning, and solar photovoltaics. Visit our website and let us help you save.
Half the day, I'm in the club.
Half a day, welcome to Two Lovers Point.
Half the day, I'm in the club.
It makes myself and it makes my team members very proud to work for an organization that has been on island for many years with its focus on reliability, dependability, and commitment to the communities that they operate in.
Matson's a great corporate citizen to the community.
We all benefit from any sort of environmental commitment we make. One of the ways that we do that is with our Adahi Utano program. There's action behind it, and so action breeds commitment.
With the Kaimana Hila coming to Guam, this brings a new age and modernization to the island.
It's exciting for me because it's a brand new ship and we can carry more freight into the islands. It just shows growth for Guam and Micronesia.
Matson would be nothing without its customers, and we hope to continue to serve you for decades to come.
It's a special delivery to your inbox every week with your KUAM News Roundup, program advisories, and promotions. Sign up for the weekly KUAM Digital Digest today on KUAM.com.
Prime time continues here on KUAM, and my friends, the first war claims checks could possibly be handed out in the next few days. So says a rather confident governor's office, with spokesperson Crystal Paco San Agustin telling us that as of today, they've processed over 500 such claims.
The governor has made a very aggressive deadline, again, before the end of the month. That deadline is on Friday. We are very confident we will meet that deadline, if not sooner.
The rather familiar face says they've also now hearing from other claimants who have just received their adjudication letters, meaning they'll have more new claims to process. Also, they've also received several dozen calls from people who are homebound and cannot make it to the War Claims Processing Center in Tamuning, so teams will be sent out to assist those residents in getting their reparation payments.
All you have to do is call our center at 482-0792. Again, 482-0792. We'll take your name, your village, and your best point of contact, and we'll call you to schedule, and then we'll be partnering with the Guam Election Commission, their notaries, and we'll be doing home visits later this week.
So far, about half the adjudicated claims are from people living away from Guam. San Agustin says for help, they can email the center at guamwarclaims@guam.gov, or for submission, they can send copies of their adjudication letter and a valid ID by certified mail to the Department of Administration. Make sure to check out KUAM.com to see where you can send that to. A local lawyer, attorney Vincent Camacho, in other news, has filed a motion to intervene in the ongoing Archdiocese of Agana bankruptcy case. He represents 33 Catholic parishes and schools as the Archdiocese submitted its bankruptcy reorganization plan, you might recall, offering $21 million to settle its more than 200 clergy sex abuse lawsuits. There is, however, a separate suit pending against the church to include local Catholic schools and parishes to increase the settlement fund. Now, although the church opposes this, the interveners argue that the church is not in a position to fully understand each parish or school's finances or operating structures and thus cannot properly make all of the interveners' arguments. Such information will permit, they say, a more complete disclosure of necessary facts for the court to make a proper determination. The next hearing for the bankruptcy case is scheduled for February the 21st. Elsewhere, there is still no swearing in for the Jotnya Municipal Planning Council as the village's organization was appointed by jailed Jotnya Mayor Jesse Blas from his prison cell downtown in Hagåtña. But Mayor's Council of Guam Executive Director Angel Sablan tells us the swearing in of the council is on hold pending a legal opinion from the AG on whether or not Mayor Blas had the authority to appoint a municipal planning council from jail. The mayor is locked up awaiting the start of his trial in February on extortion and bribery charges. He's accused, as you well know by now, of helping drug traffickers bring meth into Guam using cluster boxes down at the village's mayor's office. The mayor has pleaded not guilty to those charges. Well, one man is running for senator after all, as Republican Senator candidate Vince Borja quit his UOG instructor job a day after a KUAM News report on whether or not his campaign broke GovGuam Mini-Hatch Act rules ran. Borja had started campaigning for office on social media, but said a committee to draft him took over the campaign he started in early January. KUAM did learn he resigned from his job on Friday. He writes, quote, "I firmly believe the actions that both myself and my supporters have taken thus far were above reproach. The last thing we need are assumptions shading a negative view on a campaign." That's in a release from his committee to draft him. UOG spokesman Jonas Makapinlak tells KUAM News that his resignation came quick, writing, "The timing was such that they didn't have to make an immediate determination. Once they found out about the possibility, UOG, he says, made it clear that he would have to resign if he was going to run for senator. This is something that was resolved within a few days because he did resign." Speaking of the Institution of Higher Learning, he was the 5th president of UOG, and today a memorial service was held for the late Dr. Jose Cruz. He passed away on the 6th at the age of 73. He was UOG president from 1983 to 1987, beginning his career at UOG as a part-time assistant professor and then instructor of public administration and management at the College of Business and Public Administration from 79 to 83. In that latter year, he joined Governor Ricardo Bordallo's staff as special assistant on education and boards and commissions. That year, he was named UOG president by its Board of Regents. After his term as president, Cruz remained with the university, serving as a Regents professor, associate professor, and adjunct faculty member until 2002. The Cruz family had established a scholarship at UOG's Endowment Foundation in the late doctor's memory. Elsewhere tonight, you want to meet the new additions to the Sandcastle Guam family and the first tigers ever born here on the island. Zena and Alita are orange tiger cubs, and they are 2 months old. They're obviously adorable. Zena weighs at about 15 pounds and Alita 2 pounds lighter. They are the daughters of Tikara, a 4-year-old white Bengal tiger, and the father, Caesar. The two cubs bring the total number of tigers at Sandcastle to 6.
Zena, the warrior princess, and Alita, the battle angel, named after those two fictional characters.
It's a lot of responsibility, but it's an awesome responsibility. You know, they're such amazing animals, and to watch them grow, it's just like raising children. You know, only my children are 4-legged and furry, and bite. You know, but it's just really amazing and such a treat to be able to do this. Yep.
Now, we did speak with Daniel Atkinson, the Tiger trainer, and who says the Cubs will be nearly double in size by their first appearance on Valentine's Day of all days. Zena and Alita will be featured at the Sandcastle's dinner show beginning on February the 13th through the 15th. Well, coming up in sports, retired basketball legend Kobe Bryant passes away in a helicopter crash. Dave Delgado has reactions from fans and members of the island's sports community.
Make every day a plus.
Shell's Million Miles giveaway is back, and we're giving 100,000 United Mileage Plus miles to 10 lucky winners. You can jet off to Japan, break away to LA, or even sightsee in Paris. So, how do you make a getaway? Just use your Lucky 7 card when you fuel up with 7 gallons or more, and you're automatically entered to win. Fuel up at your nearest Shell station today and start planning your new adventure. No purchase necessary. Some conditions apply. See store for details.
KUAM Sports is presented by Triple J.
What's up, Guam? Dave Delgado here for KUAM Sports. Thanks for watching. I'll get to some news on the tragic passing of Kobe Bryant in just a bit. But first off, footage from this year's Payless Kick the Fat 5K and 10K run. Check it out. The annual Payless Kick the Fat 5K 10K run walk took place in front of Chamorro Village. In Agana, runners participating in the 10K started first, highlighted by a fireworks display held at the start of both races. Known as the island's largest 5K event, finishers enjoyed a morning of festivities. The first 3,500 to cross the finish line went home with custom Run Guam Dry Fit shirts, tanks, and Health Smart bags. The Health Smart Wellness Festival, Health Check Zone, and Adventure Zone kept those in attendance entertained. There were plenty of food vendors on site: CS Coffee, Market Deli, Boca Box, Mighty Purple, and Edu Kitchen. 100% of the proceeds will go towards Duk Duk Goose Inc., Snake Pit Wrestling Academy, Manelu, and the University of Guam Endowment Foundation. Finishing first overall in the 10K was Derek Mandel at 33:37. Ryan Matienzo finished second at 33:43. Taiga Sato placed third at 38:57. In the 5K distance, high school speedster Terrence Johnson finished first with a time of 16:16. Ben Middlebrook took second at 17 minutes. Akira Koizumi placed third at 17:49. Turning over to some tragic news that rocked sports fans across the world, the city of Los Angeles came out to mourn the death of basketball great and Lakers legend Kobe Bryant, who passed away today in a helicopter accident. Kobe's 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, was with him as they were on their way to a basketball game. Chants of Kobe filled the streets in memory of the Black Mamba.
Everybody's pretty emotional about the tragedy with Kobe, and all of us know what a great player he was, but he went beyond great playing. He was a competitor that goes unmatched, and it's what made him as a player so attractive to everybody. That focus that competitiveness, that will to win. And even more importantly than that, we all feel a deep sense of loss for what he meant to all of us in so many ways, and so many millions of people loved him for so many different reasons. It's just a tragic thing that there are no words that can describe how everybody feels about it. So we all think about the family and the process that they're going to be going through now. That's where all our thoughts should be.
You know, Kobe was just a hard worker. His work ethic, man, he tore his Achilles and he still sunk 2 free throws, you know? And it's just, his game is just, you know, the Mamba mentality. And that's just something I want to emulate and pass down to my son. I actually bought a Mamba mentality book for my son, who is a Curry fan, but I bought him the book just to have that same mentality that Kobe had day in and day out to improve his game and just the sport of basketball.
Just the skill set, the dedication he puts in work for, just watching all the greatness going down when he takes those last-minute shots, destroying a lot of people, destroying a lot of teams especially. I'm going to remember that all day long, especially the infamous Kobe shots that we always do in high school, middle school, throughout the days. He is one of the legends.
Attention Guam business owners. Green Energy Solutions would like to help you save on your power bill. We supply various LED lighting, energy efficient air conditioners, solar thermal VRF systems, and solar panels. You can count on our product warranty and quick turnaround and immediate response service. GESI has saved other local businesses over 80% off their power. Call us to see how much we can save your business. Call us today at 647-8111 or visit gesiguam.com for more information.
Morning, 2 coffees and 4 orders of those new donut sticks.
You must really love these donut sticks.
I do, but they're not for me. They're for them. I will take a coffee, though.
Introducing new cinnamon sugar donut sticks from McCafe, made fresh every morning. It's a little sweet to go with your coffee.
Half a day, I'm Governor Lou Leon Guerrero. Over the next few months, 2020 Census personnel will be coming to your villages. They will be visiting your homes, collecting information crucial to growing our economy and improving our healthcare, education, public safety, and so much more. Please join me in participating in the 2020 Census of Guam, because together we can shape our future for a brighter tomorrow.
And now, here's your Cold Stone Creamery birthday shoutouts. All right, everybody, on this January 27th, we say happy birthday to Rakai Koa Cruz Blas, whose family says they're wishing you a very, very first birthday, coming from Mommy, Daddy, and all the family. And then we have a lot of belated birthday wishes to go to, so here we go. Happy birthday to Tina Pinala, born on the 24th. Happy birthday from Rich and the kids. Also, happy birthday wishes going out to Charles Tidegui, who was born on the 25th, as was Carmelin Napati, also sharing a birthday on January 25th. And celebrating birthday number 17 is Irenio Chargala. We're so proud of the young man you are growing up to be. Love Auntie Verna, Uncle Albert, Jonah, and Isaiah. On the 26th, Aliana Tony Cruz celebrated birthday number 5, and on that same day, birthday wishes going out to Cooney De Los Santos, to a wonderful husband and father. We love you, Daddy. Hope each and every one of you had the best birthday ever. As always, if you or anyone you know and care about wants to be part of the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club, just go to KUAM.com and hit the birthday link. Please stay tuned, because the boys in the back are going to grab the KUAM couch, put it right here, and we have got an awesome edition of the after party that starts next.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Green Energy Solutions, Inc. Visit gesiguam.com or call 647-8111 for more details on how we can help your business save money.
comes only once a week. And you never know what type of brie mix she'll have in store for you.
This, by far, is one of the toughest workouts I have ever done.
From adventures to instructional segments and even an occasional showcase of her hidden talents. In the mix is that weekly dose of fun during the time of the week when you need it most. So take a breather and join Sabrina every Thursday on KUAM TV and streaming anytime on our digital platform.
There are more ways to experience Guam via KUAM News, giving you what you want, when you want, and how you want it. From smart devices, Alexa, what's in the news?
Here's your flash briefing.
Over the web, on mobile, on streaming platforms, with immersive, interactive formats, and via social media where it's more than just content, it's conversation. More ways to keep you informed and entertained whenever you want it, wherever you are, on whatever device you're using. Catch the KUAM morning news and weather updates during the Today Show on NBC and This Morning on CBS from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Brought to you by Green Energy Solutions, Inc. Visit GESI.com or call 647-8111 to learn how we can help your business save on your power bill.
Why pay full price? We'll help you save. Check out KUAM deals on KUAM.com/deals for the island's hottest promos, sales, discounts, and so much more. KUAM deals exclusively on KUAM.com. Find your deals today and let us help you save.
Hey, good evening, Guam, and welcome to the after party, of course, where we party after the news and talk about all the big stories of the last month. We're doing a double extended show tonight. We got all the way till 7 on TV, and then we do an extra half hour that gets shot out on the social media networks of KUAM. Our esteemed panel of pundits tonight, we have former senatorial candidate, and he's a member of the Cannabis Control Board.
Cannabis Control Board, yes.
Right. Will Parkinson, we have from the Grand Old Party, the Republican Party of Guam. He's the executive director of Mr. Bobby Shringy.
How you doing?
And from the Independence Task Force Commission on Decolonization, she wears a bunch of hats, Victoria Lola Leon Guerrero. And Fernando Estevez is actually stuck in traffic, so he's going to be heading down. I guess right off the bat, I was looking over the big stories from the last month. Let's go and start with this kind of a scary story for a lot of people who saw this rocket / meteor / UFO alien invasion. And I guess we could just go down the line and if you guys want to kind of rate the government's response and
yeah.
I mean, did they do enough to kind of allay fears?
I was actually off island with my family and so everything that I received was through the media,
right,
or through WhatsApp, like all the videos of it. And I was really surprised by how lightly everybody took it. So either situation, whether it was some kind of asteroid or what it turned out to be a test missile, that's something we really need to take seriously, and especially how close it came to the island. And this is, this is something I always talk about, that our lives, while the U.S. protects its national security, being here with its military presence, our genuine security is always threatened. And, that was too close for any of us to feel comfortable. And then the lack of information after.
Right.
And, those are big questions that I want our governor as the head of state to be asking. Well, why did it come into this area? What's going on? Are there tensions we need to be aware of? But none of those questions were answered for us, I think, as a community.
Well, I just know that they probably added the FAA website to their little, what do you call that, bookmarks?
Yeah.
So now someone has got to check that every 10 minutes, probably.
I hope so.
I think this was the first big test for the governor's Homeland Security advisor.
Sure. No, I agree with Victoria. I think at the end of the day,
there was a lack of information. And the question that that particular night as this was going on, there was the fear of what is this? There was the curiosity. And then there were the WhatsApp messages that were circulating, including on social media, about the Chinese rocket and whatnot. And then the next day you hear about this could be a possible meteor. That uncertainty was there, right? And the question of the day is, were we safe? Were we not safe? What was going on? Of course, everyone of them a couple of days later can say, we were there, we saw it, we experienced it. But on that particular moment, the question of the day is, what was going on? And I agree 100% in the sense where there's a safety issue here. There were people out here, I'm sure there were some folks with heart conditions that were sitting here saying, what's going on? This is it. Is this that? Because wasn't there a, I'm not sure if it was a hoax or something, but some North Korean tweet or some message about
there was
a Christmas gift
a threat
or something.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
and was this it? And that was, I guess, the fear. And you're right. I'm assuming at this point that the FAA website is right there as one of the favorites.
You know what I wanted to see? I wanted to see a more public apology from, because I got to interview the governor about it, and basically it was that the feds didn't tell us anything. It was one of those where like, oh, we're not in the loop. And so I think the way the chain of command works is you would have the top military higher up or whatever. He would tell the governor's security advisor, and then he would tell the governor. And so I guess there was like, people knew about it, but they didn't tell the Homeland Security advisor. And then it was kind of weird because you could Google what the hell was really happening quicker than they made an announcement, and they didn't make an announcement until the next day.
Sure. And why are they testing in this area in the first place? And I mean, China is always and will be a threat.
There's a flex.
It's interesting because it's always like, well, China's a threat, and in the congressman's state of Congress,
China,
he mentioned China as a reason for us to continue to rally around the buildup. And as a community, we have to ask ourselves, would China want to attack us because we have more or less military? So, these are the things we always have people question. And also, what are the environmental impacts of these kinds of tests that are happening? How frequently do they happen? And what does that do to, it landed in the waters off of Saipan? Did it have any environmental impacts?
And there was kind of a brush off. We saw the Homeland Security people say, oh, well, this ran, and it wasn't anywhere near. I think that we did actually have one of the, Esteves, Fernando's brother, was saying that it wasn't a big deal because it wasn't close to Guam. But, Saipan,
for the folks that were watching it live, it was a big deal.
It was close
That
enough.
person with the heart condition that was actually experiencing it that particular moment, they thought it was pretty close.
Where were you, Will, and what's your take on this?
Well, my take is, like, on one hand, it's true. Nothing came of it, so it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
Like, at the end of the day, nothing bad happened, so we got to remember that.
Knock on wood.
But at the same time, in a prior life, I was an emergency professional, and I understand the value of having certainty and solid answers to the public, because I've had to deal with a frightened public before during some major wildfires, and people need to know.
Right. Yeah. And I was just saying, I would have liked to see the Homeland Security advisor. And he kind of hasn't really gone out in front of anything, really. And I'm not saying that they shelter him, but I would have liked to see him come out.
In the grand scheme of things,
and say
it's
sorry
not a
or
big
say,
deal.
hey, I messed up.
But it definitely, I hope it illustrates for them some plugs they need to, or some holes they need to plug.
But it also really illustrates how we as a people don't have access to really important information about our safety, about our health. It affects our health. Or even about, what kinds of military training and testing are happening in the region, like with Singapore, where we learned about it from the Singapore media before we learned about it from the U.S. government. And, if Guam had more sovereignty, it would be an obligation to negotiate with our government included about whether or not we would open our waters up to other places to test in, right? And what does this mean?
Or even like the coronavirus?
To play like devil's advocate, or it would just take maybe someone from the governor's office be like, hey, can you let us know when stuff's going to happen? Or something as simple as that. It was just the courtesy.
But considering the fact that on that particular night, for a few hours, there was a little on social media as well as on WhatsApp, something coming out saying this was a Chinese test rocket.
Right.
So that information was accessible by someone. Or by many people.
Sure.
So there are people out there in the community that were aware of it. What's scary is they're aware of it. but Homeland
Right.
Security was not.
Maybe they were having a beer or something. Was it a Saturday night?
It was a Friday night.
Friday night, yeah. So, well, there you go. I guess we'll just touch real quick on unsolved crimes, public safety. It's been kind of crazy. And, it's funny when we had a discussion last month about, and then in talking with people in law enforcement, there's this idea that anecdotally it seems like crime is worse, but some people are saying that statistically there hasn't been an increase, which I got to see it in black and white,
Sure.
but I don't buy it. I mean, we all grew up here, and there's definitely a difference in what we're experiencing and living through today than there was, even 10 years ago.
I'm not sure about that.
Here we go.
Because I remember when I was a kid, there was somebody stabbed over some jewelry at a bus stop. So to say it was so much better back in the day.
I'm not saying it was so much better.
But it's a little bit of rose-tinted glasses.
Right. No, I see.
But I do think there is an issue that comes with overpopulation on the island. Like Guam has a growing population. And so even though the rate statistics on some of these crimes may be consistent or lower than it was in the past, the fact that there are just so many more people means we're just seeing it more and more often. So, this is a problem we're going to see with a growing island. And so our government needs to grow with it to meet these demands.
Right. And so I guess the other question is, why haven't we grown with these demands?
No, but going back to the original question on public safety. 15, 20 years ago, you could walk to your car, open it up, and you felt comfortable. We're hearing stories about, I'm walking to my car, I'm getting mugged at my residence. A couple of weeks ago.
At my residence.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, there was a case in the MTM where the village that I live in, where the guy started his engine in his driveway, mind you, gated driveway, goes inside to grab something and comes back out and the car's gone.
I did that story. There was a statue of
yes,
I think Our Lady in the back seat.
Yeah.
Right?
Peter Alexis Ada.
Yeah. The sentiments are there. People feel it. Can more be? Are the statistics up? Are they hired out? The fact is, people just don't feel it.
Perception is reality.
Perception is a reality, and I think what adds to it is, the more and more we start reading these stories in the paper or on social media or on the news, and we're listening. John Doe gets arrested. This is the crime, and suddenly it's the justice system. And we're hearing the plea deals. I think that adds to the sentiments of the community.
It just, I feel like people readily accept that in their mind there's an absolute failure of, at the end side, the prison system, and then the courts and the AG's office and the police. They just feel like,
I think there's a combination, though, because we have really high recidivism because we have no rehabilitation programs. If you take a look at the kinds of crimes we're faced with, these are poverty-related crimes and drug-related crimes, which is still part of that cycle of poverty, which I do think is something we don't address as a community. There is a gap between rich and poor, and there are a lot of people who are living with major drug problems, major drinking problems, but there's no really solid.
Yeah, we don't have it's crazy. We don't have a rehab center. We don't have,
There's no programs for it. And when you do go to DOC, because it is overcrowded, the space that would have been for those programs are used for housing. And I think a lot of that is deeper, right? What is at the heart of this? I think the Guam we may have grown up with, definitely the Guam our parents grew up with, was a smaller population, but also a value-driven population in a very different way. We actually were afraid of our face being on the newspaper because of how our family would react,
to say
right?
It sounds like a stereotype, but I was afraid to, if I did something wrong at school, then I really, and it's not even using the stereotype, but I would get my butt beat by 3 people on the way home. Who totally had the right to do it,
Yeah, so a lot of this is really thinking about, well, how are we raising kids nowadays, and where is that love and that pride in this island community and this culture that we grew up in a very different way. I remember actually I just told my kids the same story of the bus stop incident, and the guy who had killed the little boy you talked about was a 16-year-old who they were living in very poor conditions. He had a single mom. They had a lot of issues. He used to throw rocks at my grandma, and the day that he had stabbed that little boy, I saw him walking home with his bloody hands. So that particular murder, because I'm from Tuatu, I remember you're much younger than me.
Oh yeah, I am too.
Yeah, and so I remember that, and I told my children the story as, you know, my own example of why I don't make them ride the bus anymore. But when I was a kid, we picked whatever bus stop we wanted to go to in the village. But now that I'm older, I can look at that kid and I can see, okay, there were all these issues going on, and it was completely tragic for that little boy. And it was related to poverty.
So we're going to come back at, I mean, obviously it's crime. We're going to do 3, 4, 5, 6 shows about crime. So we're going to come back and continue right here in the after party.
Your community calendar is brought to you by Taco Bell. Whether it's your first meal or your fourth meal, we've got you covered. Taco Bell, live Más.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
What is Whole Home Wi-Fi? Whole Home Wi-Fi spreads Wi-Fi across your entire home. Pods plug straight into the wall. No messy cables. They spread the internet from your modem to every corner of your home at full speed. Whole Home Wi-Fi doesn't just make your Wi-Fi faster. It intelligently adapts to your environment and manages your Wi-Fi 24/7 based on insight like the number and types of devices connected to your home. Whole Home Wi-Fi, powered by Plume. Learn more at DocomoPacific.com.
Want a real taste of New York? The Big New Yorker is back with a big, bold taste and a sweet marinara sauce on a crust that's 30% larger than our large. Handmade to perfection. It's just $9.99 per carryout. The Big New Yorker, only at your Island Pizza Hut.
We're excited to introduce Cars Plus 2.0 as we celebrate our 20th anniversary. Every moment has led us to push the standards of the automotive experience, from our state-of-the-art facility to world-class products. And now, we're proud to launch Guam's first and only lifetime warranty. Head on down to Cars Plus and ask about our lifetime warranty. We're driven by you and driven to be better.
Off day, my name is Jonathan Jose, and I am the co-owner of Opaque. Opaque is a local clothing streetwear brand inspired by our culture and our lifestyle. Our main mission is to be who we are, and it's more of like, this is our culture, take it or leave it, because this is who we are. We're not going to try to pretend to be anyone else. The Hafa Pledge is like the essence of Guam culture. The people of Guam are just naturally hospitable, so it's just more of like a reminder, reinforcement, to the youth of Guam. It's like, this is who we are. Don't forget your roots. We're a giving people and a welcoming people. Having that local pride is, definitely a Guam thing. I mean, in a world of 7 billion, we're pretty unique. To share that with the world is even more special, to be able to share your experiences and share your pride with the rest of the world.
Shop Guam E-Festival is back with amazing deals. Download the free Shop Guam mobile app on your app store and present the discount code to your favorite Shop Guam vendors. Get access to hundreds of offers, including shopping, dining, and entertainment. Enjoy great deals now until February 10th.
it's-
do too.
Maybe I don't sit comfortably.
We're back. Joining us now, former Senator Fernando Esteves, and we're
day.
talking about crime, public safety, big conversation. And I guess we started talking about perception versus statistics. I mean, are
I
we?
caught that part. Yeah.
Yeah. So are we having? I feel like we're experiencing more crime nowadays, but I don't know.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, statistics are good, but does the public feel safe? So as subjective as that metric is, it's valuable. So it wouldn't matter if the statistics say, oh, okay, crime's the same, it hasn't changed, or it's comparable to the population size that we have. That doesn't matter. Do people feel safe? That's the end question the government needs to answer, because public safety are one of those functions that really only the government can perform. Exactly.
Basics, yeah.
Like I can't go out there and I can't police the streets. The government has to do that, right? And so I think it's a big issue. I mean, I know I told you, and just full disclosure, my uncle Juan was the one who got shot. That's my mom's first cousin. She was the godmother of his son. That hit very close to home, and now we still don't have answers. Nobody knows anything.
It's crazy. So in interviewing your family, that we're saying that there no victims advocate from the AG's office ever reached out to them. Even after we did the story about them not hearing anything from the detectives, they say they got a call, but they're still not hearing anything from the detectives.
And then on the other side, right, that might seem unrelated, but that the public's very aware of, when there are all these issues of drug offenses, stealing, what do the police say? Oh, I'm sorry, we prioritize rape, we prioritize murder first. But then if they're prioritizing, nothing's happening on those instances, and I think that's where people are starting to find that it's pretty ridiculous. And I for one don't think that more officers always solve the issues. It puts them out in the streets.
But I think we're at a point where we just need more. We're operating at such a deficit of manpower. I think that we need that. At least to get us up to, at least a norm.
True, but I mean, it's a bureaucratic agent. Not every police officer is going to be doing crime investigation. They're going to be out on the street. That doesn't necessarily help solving some of these cold cases or finding final resolution.
I think there was like 9 detectives or something. We did an interview with the chief, and there's, I want to say, between 9 and 11 detectives for the whole island.
Yeah, and I think that's where, I think people are much smarter now, and they're paying attention a lot more, right? Just saying you're going to hire more police officers.
You've been saying it for a year.
You've been saying for a year, but does that...
But the process of hiring alone is a challenge.
It's a challenge,
The process alone.
Sure, but I mean, it's not... I mean, we managed to hire how many people already? I don't know.
But once you have the officers, then what? Right?
Because there's a retention issue, too.
There's a retention issue, and then if you can't investigate and solve the crimes, sure, we have more patrol officers, but then who's finishing the crimes that we can't solve, right? Not every incident is going to have the guy say, I did it, I'm guilty, but I blacked out. We're not going to get that lucky.
Right.
So,
and then, of course, we kind of also dipped into a little bit of the AG's office and the judiciary, and people. I think that people are having confidence issues with this attorney general.
Oh man, I'm having.
I'll tell you what my friends are saying is they're saying that we're suing Google, we're trying to jump on all these lawsuits. Meanwhile, criminals are getting plea deals, DOC officers are getting plea deals.
Oh yeah,
sweet deals.
And
sweet deal. I mean, you've got Jeff Secola saying, "Wow, you're getting a sweet deal like every other day in court."
And then they basically said, "Well, we gave it to one, now we have to give it to all of them."
And then they said, "Well, we went after the kingpins who are already in jail." It's mind-boggling. It's ridiculous, and I just can't. I don't buy that. I mean, only people who watch. I think people out there know. I mean, I want to hope they know.
It feels that way. Yeah. Like even as someone who voted for leaving, I feel like, oh man, you are giving a lot of sweetheart deals, and
and then you get this release where it's like, oh, we got all this money from. There was owed KUAM, we collected $500,000, and so in my mind, I'm thinking, is the trade-off for being safe that we're going to get money, or?
Yeah, I mean, we can go all day about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just very frustrating. And then, what we hear from the courts is that GPD is making the arrest, but the AG is not charging people. So, and convictions are down.
And they should work together. I mean, that's where they really need to work on their systems, right? Is it an issue with how the police are handling the crime scene? Is it a way they're doing the reports, or is it an issue with staffing at the AGs? I really think that regardless, the cases are done, right? They've been pleaded out, they're done. But I think the AG owes the people of Guam more transparency. Why was this plea deal given? If it's GPD's fault, hey, if the shoe fits, right? Call a spade. But we're not going to fix the issues if you're just going to take the hit, pretend like this is the status quo. People are smarter than that. Give them the opportunity to understand.
I think it's also that we
the
hire
junior mayor
these.
stuff doesn't help either.
Yeah,
because it gives that extra layer of how deep does the corruption go in our government?
Very deep, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, this whole situation with the junior mayor. That's a whole other after party. And I know you got skin in the game.
I live in Zotnya.
Right.
But I mean, like, it puts into the question institutional corruption.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying any which way, but I'm just
Say
saying.
it, dude. Say it.
People might ask the question, what if it's the police too? What if it's
well,
who
it
else?
is the police because the Fed said that he sent an officer to threaten a witness. So
well, we know DOC's involved,
right?
The
marshals are involved.
And
every layer.
again, and if we're not saying that we're tough on this, I mean, I take that level of blatant government corruption to a different level because it's not just you expect a criminal to do criminal things.
And it's drugs, dude. It's ice.
Yeah.
It's meth. And I don't understand this whole to me it just it's implicating people. And I think there's some really powerful people that are involved with this. And I think if you really pay attention and you watch Session and you see who's sticking up for what, it's obvious.
Good point. Yeah.
But no, like I definitely think though that if they want to make the communities feel safe, they need to have a campaign, a crusade against institutional corruption.
Right.
Because more than the street crime, this is the stuff that shakes confidence in communities.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't trust the police, you can't trust the government, then a lot of times these were what we thought of in the past, like stateside problems. Right? We don't have problems with that. We trust the police. They're members of the community. They're members of our family. We're related to them.
Yeah.
And to have this level of distrust in our government, and I'm not even putting all the blame on the governor. Obviously it's her responsibility now.
Yeah.
But this has been a long-standing issue. But we can't just keep passing the buck. There's some serious issues going on here.
And that also trickles into, for example, the story in the Post yesterday, where you had an individual who wanted to remain alias, who was a victim of domestic violence, and an advocate of one of those organizations was there to assist her, and they went down to make a complaint. Now, the first problem you had was you had a failed judicial system that had somebody who beat the heck out of his wife.
Right.
Gets, I think it was time served.
Yeah.
He's basically out. He has a little, what do you call that, a restraining order, which is a piece of paper that can easily be violated. Goes back and, attacks the wife again. And they go down to make another complaint. And what do they get? They feel like they're
They get harassed.
Yeah, they're the criminals here, and we're the victims' rights. And so if you ask yourself this question, if it was anybody in this room who was the victim, how comfortable are you now going back the second time or the third time? Do you just keep it hush and move away from it?
Bro, my house got broken into, and they didn't. I mean, it's clear they were looking, but newsflash, I'm broke. But they didn't find anything.
Nice hair, though.
And so I didn't want to call the police because I felt so stupid because I work in the media and I'm seeing real crime.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, "Oh, you should just document it," because at the time I was researching some stuff that was risky.
Insurance.
Right. And so I was like, okay, fine. And the day after I called, they said, "Oh, we're going to send someone down." Never. I mean, this was 6-7 months ago, and I never made a big deal out of it because okay. They climbed in a window. They looked around my house. It's not like there was no home invasion. I actually felt stupid complaining about it because there are way more serious crimes out there.
Yeah, and you shouldn't feel that way, right?
I know.
You should get the response, and I could understand if they're a little short. I know GPDs.
Well, they're a lot short.
They're a lot short.
Yeah, no, I've been in the same predicament.
Right.
Like our bush cutter got stolen, and it was like, okay, do I?
Yeah.
It's outside.
And then when you call the cops, you're gonna get that one cop who's like, how many bush cutters are stolen every day?
Exactly.
Correct.
God.
But I do
take a
think
number.
that I don't think it's a simple comparison of Guam and the States and crime, because I do think we still have a unique community, and yes, there is corruption, but I also think there's these layers of people who know people or related to people or have different connections. It does make it harder. It's not black and white. It doesn't make me feel safer, but I'm not trying to excuse it, but I think that's what we see in the case of the Jotnya mayor. There's a lot of layers of involvement in law enforcement and sort of these relationships make things complicated. But I do know, having witnessed, being in the courts, just seeing what happens in the courts, it's overbacked. I mean, when I was working at the legislature and I took a tour of DOC, you have people who've never even gone to trial. It's being used as a jail. They've not been convicted of anything.
Half the population.
It's half the population there. They need a jail
Yeah.
that's big enough to house people, but also there are people that have been tried for multiple crimes and they give different names. There's all kinds of things that have really backed up our court system.
Right.
And so, I don't think it's individual players, like just the AG. I think these are longstanding problems that have been inherited and that we as a whole community need to solve on all kinds of levels. So back again to the issue of drugs, the issue of poverty.
Right.
What are the underlying causes of these crimes? I don't think we're addressing them. They're not even part of the conversation.
Right.
And then looking at the system's been underfunded and overtaxed and disorganized for decades. So how do we reframe it? We need to reframe our own thinking instead of sort of passing blame, but creating solutions. What are our solutions?
I think one thing you'd brought up. Oh, go ahead. Your
show.
show.
You're the guest.
All right, I think you might agree with this, and that's why when people say things like culture is irrelevant nowadays, they're wrong.
It's very relevant.
Because those are the things that kind of define, our left and right limits, right? Our moral compass, and especially in Pacific communities, right? The self-policing of the community, that was very much a thing. And it worked. It was very, very effective. You wouldn't go steal a bush cutter because somebody will know and everybody's going to know and you're going to be ashamed. They're going to let you know. They're going to let you know. It'll always kind of be that black mark on you. Maybe you go to prison, maybe you don't, whatever.
Right.
But when you take those things away and say they're unimportant and you just leave everything to the system, as she said, right, you're missing a key component. I completely agree, right?
Yeah.
Recidivism's a big issue. Mental health treatment for drug abusers.
God, where do we start? The whole system is broke.
Absolutely. And I think the first start is, back to, I think we do need to be tough on government officials.
I think we need to be tough.
That's the most
you're
important
a mayor
one.
who's, letting drug dealers ship in pounds of, meth that's crippling our island, then you got to pay.
Well, in all fairness,
Yeah.
everyone's innocent till proven guilty.
Okay,
so,
right, yeah.
But what I'm saying is with the official misconduct of those
Theoretically
DOC
speaking.
officers.
Yeah.
Now they were
Oh,
tried.
man, terrible.
That was done. That case is done. They're guilty. They're guilty. So
They
we know
admitted they were guilty.
They admitted they were
Yeah.
guilty, right? Whether it's drugs or not, yes, you can still have a heart. Sure, we could find them help after. But when we let those kinds of things stand, they didn't only put themselves. Sure, they might have put their family through the ringer, but they put the other DOC guards' lives at risk. They put the community at risk with that kind of nonsense, and we just kind of slapped it on the wrist.
I don't even think it was a slap on the wrist.
Well,
yeah.
No.
Maybe a
little,
right?
yeah.
Hey, we got to run though.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I mean, like I said, public safety crime. We could just go on for days. This has been the after party. Thank you to our guests. Remember, we're going an extra 30 minutes for social media. So catch that on the social media networks of KUAM. For Will, Bobby, former Senator Fernando, and Victoria, my name's Chris. This has been the after party. Adios.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Green Energy Solutions, Inc. Visit GESIGuam.com or call 647-8111 for more details on how we can help your business save money.